Good morning, thank you for joining me. I hope everybody's had a good week and is looking forward to the weekend. I certainly am. Welcome back to 5 on Friday. I'm resurrecting this series. I mentioned this in my video on Wednesday, my chatty catch-up video. I'm resurrecting this series in a slightly different way. When I did it previously, it was my sort of weekly favourites, things I was enjoying on any given week. This time I'm doing sort of lists and some with recommendations and stuff, and all, but just a bit more flexible. But today's video, as again I mentioned on Wednesday, is book recommendations. One of the joys of going on holiday for me is the time to lie in the sunshine and read. Actually, I'm not a sunshine sunbather particularly. I tend to lie in the shade and read, although the temperature was lovely this time when we were on holiday, so I did lie in the sunshine a bit. But yeah, the joy of all the time in the world to read is just something I really look forward to about holidays, and I read some brilliant books this time, so I wanted to share some of them with you. 5 of them, funnily enough. Who could have guessed? Everything I mentioned will be linked below, and I'll also link my Amazon storefront, which links through to all my Amazon recommendations. There is a section on there for books. If you scroll down, you will find that, and I regularly update that with my book recommendations when I don't mention them in videos, so you can bookmark that to go back to in the future if you want to. Right, let's get into it. I wanted to make this fairly snappy, and I've already talked to you for 2 minutes, so let's crack on. The first book I want to recommend is Watch Her Fall by Erin Kelly. I have read a lot of books by this author. I think this one was probably my favourite book I've ever read by her. Now what I'm going to do is read out the blurb to you, because I feel like it's always hard to describe books, especially when you've read them 6 books ago and you can't remember the exact story. But I'm going to read you the blurb from them, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my thoughts on it. So the blurb says, after years of blood, sweat and tears, Ava Kirilova finally has the ballet world at her feet. But away from the spotlight, whispers backstage make her feel lonely and paranoid because somebody is watching her from the wings. Someone who wants what she has, wants it so badly that 2 people will pay with their lives. Now this book reminded me of, do you remember that film that won lots of Academy Awards, Black Swan? It just had that same dark, brooding quality about it. It's based around a Russian ballet company in London, run by a very patriarchal Russian old school gentleman, Nikolai Kirillov, and his daughter Ava is the prima ballerina, and they are putting on this what's the word I'm looking for? Performance. They're doing a world tour of their performance of Swan Lake. The story is told from different perspectives of all different people. It's very twisty turny, it's really dark and moody and chilling. I'm thinking you would call this a psychological thriller, or yeah, you would, because things become apparent. It was a really good read. I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it and would highly recommend. The next book I read was perhaps a little bit more niche, very easy read, very enjoyable, bit of a page turner. It was called People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. Now I will read you the blurb about this one. To her adoring fans, Emmy Jackson, aka the Mama Bear, is the honest Insta-mum who always tells it like it is. To her sceptical husband, a washed-up novelist who knows just how creative Emmy can be with the truth, she is a breadwinning powerhouse, chillingly brilliant at monetizing the intimate details of their family life. To one of Emmy's dangerously obsessive followers, she's the woman that has everything but deserves none of it. As Emmy's marriage begins to crack under the strain of her growing success and her moral... As Emmy's marriage begins to crack under the strain of her growing success and her moral compass veers wildly off course, the more vulnerable she becomes to a very real danger circling ever closer to her family. I loved the sort of very current topic, if you like, about influencers and them how they operate and how their audience perceives them and all that sort of thing. The perils of parenting online. It shows perhaps the darker side of the culture of influencing. I always want to do that, but it is a proper word now, isn't it? But yeah, just really interesting social media celebrity. It was it gets a bit twisty turny and exciting at the end as well, a little bit far-fetched, but it was a really different type of story. It was something that I'm interested in, obviously, as it also had a really good ending, this book, really not very surprising and very entertaining, and sort of left you wondering not what was going to happen next, because everything was tied up quite well. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting, and if you're interested at all in social media culture, well worth a read. The next book I read was One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the third book I've read by her, and everything she writes is just absolutely brilliant. Also, all three books I've read have been very different as well. I think the other two were Daisy Jones and the Six, which I read on holiday a couple of years ago and absolutely loved, and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which again was really, really good. This one was just as good, completely different from the other two. Can't wait to read more by her. Let me read you the blurb. In her 20s, Emma Blair marries her high school sweetheart, Jessie. They build a life for themselves far away from the expectations of their parents and the people of their hometown in Massachusetts. They travel the world together, living life to the full and seizing every opportunity for adventure. On their first wedding anniversary, Jessie is on a helicopter over the Pacific when it goes missing. Just like that, he's gone forever. Emma quits her job and moves home in an effort to put her life back together. Years later, now in her 30s, Emma runs into an old friend and finds herself falling in love again. When Emma and Sam get engaged, it feels like a second chance at happiness. That is, until Jessie is found. He's alive, and he's been trying all these years to come home to her. With a husband and a fiancé, Emma now has to figure out who she is and what she wants while trying to protect the one she loves. Who is her one true love? What does it mean to love truly? And this was so well written, real page turner, very romantic, and it really digs into how you change as a person as you grow older, which I thought was really interesting as well. Also, the backstory of how Jessie what happened to him while he was gone in the interim is really interesting, and Emma's sort of moral dilemma, if you like, it was really interesting to read as well. Again, highly recommend. Number 4 is Blood Orange by Harriet Tice. This is about a female barrister called Alison. Such a good book, definitely psychological thriller this. Let me read you the blurb. Alison has it all, a doting husband, adorable daughter and a career on the rise. She's just been given her first murder case to defend, but all is never as it seems. Alison drinks too much, she's neglecting her family, and she's having an affair with a colleague whose taste for pushing boundaries may be more than she can handle. Alison's client doesn't deny that she stabbed her husband. She wants to plead guilty, and yet something about her story is deeply amiss. Saving this woman may be the first step to Alison saving herself. But someone knows Alison's secrets, someone who wants to make her pay for what she's done and who won't stop until she's lost everything. This is really disturbing, really good. Disturbing is the wrong word. Again, quite dark. Really compelling. It's all about sort of the juxtaposition of fear and desire, and there's lots of jealousy, there's betrayal, there's love and hate, there's a bit of everything. I love the legal side of things as well. I enjoy a book that has a legal slant and her career as a barrister, and very much all is not as it seems in this novel. It's real psychological suspense. It was really good and very much enjoyed it. The final novel is, and I'm recommending this with a bit of a ride. This one I only gave 3 stars to. I thought it was a good story. It's called The Guilty Party and it's written by Mel McGrath. I only gave 3 stars because I hated all the characters. There wasn't a single person, in my opinion, with one redeeming feature. They were all vile human beings. However, the story was well written and it was good and it did keep me turning the pages. Let me read you the blurb. On a night out, 4 friends witness a stranger in trouble. They decide to do nothing to help. Later, a body washes up on the banks of the Thames and the group realises that ignoring the woman has left blood on their hands. But why did each of them refuse to step in? Why did none of them want to be noticed that night? Who is really responsible? And is it possible that the victim was not really a stranger at all? And the book is told from the perspective of, or from 4 different perspectives of each of the friends, and goes back in time incrementally. That's difficult to, it goes back in time, it steps back in time each time you come to the next person type of thing. But it's really well written and yeah, great story, really interesting to see all the different threads connect. But yeah, didn't like any of the people in it at all. Anyway, that's a few book recommendations for you. If you've got any book recommendations for me, I always love your recommendations. Please do let me know if you've read anything good in the comments lately. As I said, all the information linked in the description box below. Thank you for joining me and I'll see you again on Sunday. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.